guys, it's Paris, and today's video is going to be all about getting your driver's permit and your driver's license, like how it works, my tips and my advice, and again, at the end you guys will hear the story of how I failed my driver's test the first time. So, I've been wanting to do one of these for a while since I started, since I got my permit and started driving and stuff, because I'd watched some of these videos, before I got my permit and stuff. A lot of you guys are in the age where you will soon be getting your permits or your license, or if you guys just want to hear the story of how I failed my driver's license because I'm dumb and don't know how to drive. So first of all, every single state, all 50 states of the USA, all their driving rules are different. So the first step is get your permit. Some states you can get your permit at 14, some states it's 15. Where I live in Wisconsin, it's 15 and a half. So when you are 15 and a half, you are eligible to go to the DMV and get your permit. But before you can get your permit, you have to take the permit test. So you have to be enrolled in a driver's ed course either in the classroom or online. I did it in the classroom. It was extremely boring, but it was better than online. And you take the permit test, which is a written test. So this is the test that I took. Again, every state is different. It was 15 multiple choice questions, and they were all situational. So what you do with this, what you do with this, true or false, and then there was a section that was 15 points all about different road signs and what they mean. So on the road sign test, I got 100%, I got all 15 right, and then on the 50 question one, I think you could get 12 wrong, and I got 11 wrong, so I almost failed. If I would have gotten 2 more, I would have failed the permit test, and I don't know anyone that's failed the permit test. Honestly, you have to be pretty dumb to fail the permit test, but the reason that I didn't do well is because I took it on the very first day of class, because I was already behind. I was already late in getting my permit license, so I just wanted it as soon as possible, so I took it on the first day of class. So if I would have taken it at the end of the course, then I would have gotten 100% because you learn everything. You learn what you're supposed to do in certain situations. Anyone who took it at the end got 100% on the permit test because you learn everything. So I only didn't do well because I hadn't learned anything yet. But again, it's just common sense. So I did it on the first day and I passed. I hadn't learned anything. It's just common sense if you think about, even if you haven't done driver's ed, you can. So after I passed the permit test, then they sent the paperwork over to the DMV and I got my permit. So your permit basically means that you can drive the car on any roads, anywhere you want, but you have to have a parent in the passenger seat or someone over 18 or a driving instructor. It looks just like a real license. You get the card in the mail a week later. And it basically just says that you can drive anywhere you want as long as you have a parent in the front. Now that you have your permits, again, where I live in Wisconsin, you can get your permit at 15 and a half, then you have to have it for 6 months, and then when you are 16, you're eligible for your license, but you have to have it for 6 months. So my birthday is in March, so I should have gotten my permit in September, but I got my permit in December, so I couldn't get my license until June because that was 6 months later. Again, every state is different. Some states you get it at 15, have it for a year. Some states you have it for 2 years or a year and a half, or however it works, but that's how it works for here. So once you have your permit, now you can drive, and then you have to have it for 6 months. So in that 6 months period, you have to have 30 hours of driving on your own. You have to take 6 behind the wheel lessons, which to me seems really unnecessary and ridiculous. So you schedule them, and then you have a driving instructor. You have to do 6. They're 2 hours long. You have 1 hour you drive, and then 1 hour you sit in the back seat and you observe another teenager drive. Again, I know a lot of states you don't have to do behind the wheel. They seem really unnecessary to me, but that's what I had to do. So then after your 6 months of your permit is up, you've done all 6 behind the wheels, you have your 30 hour logged, you can go and get your license. So like I said, the permit test is just a written test. It's all multiple choice. If you did driver's ed online, the permit test is going to be online. I did it in the classroom, so it was a physically written test. And then your driver's license, you have the road test. So you go to the DMV and you drive your own car. You bring your own car, and then someone comes and you do the road test, and you have to do lane changes, turns, different maneuvers. Again, all states are different. Some states you have to parallel park. In Wisconsin, you don't. We have to do the Y turn. Some states you don't have to do that. So some of them are short, some of them are on a closed course. Ours and most of them are just on the open road in a neighborhood and intersection, stuff like that. So you can do that when you are 16 and or you have had your permit for 6 months. So that is basically the gist of what you have to do for your permits and your license and tips like that. So now on to the story of how I failed my driver's test the first time. I'd like to say that it was bogus and I was cheated and it was some ridiculous outrage, but no, it's just because I can't drive and I didn't study enough, and yeah, I don't have an excuse. It's just a really dumb story on my part. I just can't drive, So I took my road test and I thought it was okay, except for the parking. My parking was horrible. I will tell you guys that right now, because I wasn't used to parking because if you think about it, so the road goes this way, and then there were sideways spots along the side of the road that you had to park for your road test. I was not used to those. I did a terrible parking job, that's where I lost. So again, in the Wisconsin road test, you can get up to 25 points off and still pass. You get points off for doing things wrong, obviously, or there are auto fails, which is, you know, running a stop sign, running over a curb, running a red lights, hitting a person, speeding, all that stuff are auto fails. So even if you do everything perfectly, but you do one of those, you just fail automatically. Or you can get 25 points off and still pass. I got 26 points off. I know. And that makes me so mad because it was 1 point, but again, even if I would have gotten 25 points off or 24, that's still like a lot of points. It shows like I'm not a good driver, and I knew that. Like, my friends had always like made fun of me and said that I was a terrible driver, and I always said that wasn't true, but apparently it is true. Like, I'm just not a good driver, but I will get better. So, I mean, yeah, that's how I failed, is because I got 1 point too many, and you know, I'd like to say that they were bogus reasons and that the guy cheated me and that this is an outrage, because I'm completely that type of person to like blame a situation on something else and not take responsibility when I screw up, because I'm just completely that type of person to just not take responsibility when I screw up. And here's the setup. So I was very, very nervous to take my driver's test because I had this like feeling that I could fail, you know, and everyone told me, all my friends, they like texted me that day and they're like, oh, like, good luck, you'll do fine. I kept saying I was so scared to fail, and they're all like, oh, you'll be fine, it's really easy, it's really short. That's all I'd heard from all my friends that had their license. But I was just very, very, very nervous to fail because I had like this feeling that it was a possibility and that I like might actually fail. So I was very, very nervous to fail. I kept telling my parents that, because I had this, you know, I had this feeling that I, you know, was going to fail. So I did my test and we came back and I looked at the sheets and I saw the 26 at the bottom, and I don't even like, as soon as I saw that 26, I was just like, oh my god, like this cannot be happening. Like I remember thinking I actually failed. Like that's what I was thinking, like it didn't even feel real. I was like, how, like I actually failed. Like I was so worried and I thought that it would be fine, and I actually failed. And it made me so mad that I saw that 26 and I was like, okay, like that would happen to me, like I would get 1 point too many. I was just like so like cringing and like hating myself for it, and I was like, this cannot be happening. Like I actually failed. Like it came true. I really did just fail. And the guy was talking to me, and so like he was like, so unfortunately you did not qualify, here's all these things. He went over the points and stuff I did wrong. And I was just like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, I get it, understand. And I had been like fighting with my friends the night before, so I was just like not in a good mood. I was very, very, very nervous. And the guy who like did the test for me or whatever, he was very intimidating looking. Like he was a fine guy, he wasn't like mean, he was just looked very intimidating. So I was like very nervous, and so that's kind of why I'd made some stupid mistakes that like normally I wouldn't have made. But I was just very, very disappointed. I showed them thing and I was like, it was 1 point, like all this stuff, and I was like, I can't believe like I really failed. And I started like crying in the middle of the DMV, like, because again there was like stuff that was like happening like outside of it, so it was just like, that was just another thing added on, and I was just like so overwhelmed. I started crying in the middle of the DMV and everyone was like looking at me. There was like a cute guy in line, but I didn't even care at that point that like he saw me crying and I looked like a mess. I was just so like upset. Again, there was previous circumstances that I was already upset about, and then my parents were like, they weren't like laughing at me, but they were just kind of like, parents, like, it's really not a big deal, like you don't need to cry about this, like you come back in like a couple weeks, like you'll be fine, you just need to practice. And I was like, I know, I'm like, blah blah blah. And my mom's like, and my parents, they just had like zero compassion. They were just like, you know, like you don't need to cry about this, like really, like, you know, like it's not a big deal, you know, like it really doesn't affect your life, you come back in a couple weeks, like you'll be fine. It's like crying, and my parents are just like, really, like calm down, like it's not a big deal, like really, like you come back in a couple weeks, like this doesn't change your life. And I was just so upset like the whole day. One of the points he took me off, one of the reasons I lost points is because I was driving too slowly. Who does that? What teenager drives too slowly? Like what? Because they told us speeding was an auto fail, so I was so worried about not speeding that I ended up not speeding enough. And then like for the Y turn, I didn't check the mirrors in the correct order, which like is kind of bogus, but like whatever, I guess it's the rules. Oh, here's one. Apparently I didn't recognize a hazardous situation, and I had some like unnecessary stops and like hesitations or whatever, and whatever. So who even knows what those were? I kind of like wasn't listening to what the guy was telling me afterwards because I was just like so upset. So not one of the best days of my life, but again, like it was just a couple weeks later, I can take it, and I've realized like, yeah, it's not the end of the world. I can come back in a couple weeks. I clearly need more practice, so whatever, it's fine. But that was not a happy day. And I know a lot of other people that failed the first try, so you know, it's not I'm not the first person to fail. So well, maybe that makes some of you guys feel better. Breaking news, Styled by Paris failed her test. Styled by Paris can't drive. That's the story of how I failed my driver's test the first time. So, my tips and advice. You should go on the DMV website before. I was on the DMV website while I was on my way to the driver's test looking at the requirements. You should do that before because again, like stuff like you have to check the mirrors in the exact order because you know you'll lose points, but as I can vouch, those points add up. So I would definitely recommend doing that before, and if you guys have to take behind the wheel lessons like we do in Wisconsin, then you know, you should ask them questions and really learn and just basically be more prepared than I was. I just learned to drive basically and I thought I was doing fine, and don't go too slow. They will fail you for that. That is my advice for you guys, is be more prepared. Learn to park sideways. Go on the DMV website before. You can learn the orders and everything they want because they will be picky, and as I can tell you, they will take points off. Those points add up. That's what happened to me. Don't drive too slow. Just basically learn what you have to do, learn the correct ways. That was my video. I hope you guys liked this video and you guys got some tips or advice and just learned from my mistakes basically. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also make sure to follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, and I will be sure to catch you guys in my next video. Bye!